You're tuned to Radio Maria, a Christian voice in your home. The following program is a rebroadcast of Salvation is from the Jews with Roy Showman.
Hi, this is Roy Showman, and welcome once again to Salvation is from the Jews, the show on Radio Maria that celebrates the Jewish roots of the Catholic faith, or, seen the other way around, that celebrates the completion, the fulfillment, the full realization of all of the potential of Judaism in the Catholic Church and its sacraments. If you have listened to the show in the past, you know that one of my favorite things to do on the show is to invite on a guest who is another Jew who has very gratefully entered the Catholic Church and to give us his or her witness testimony. And today, once again, I have that great joy and privilege to do so. So, in a few moments, I will introduce you to my new friend, Jerry, who will give you his witness testimony. And we'll talk about various things related to being a Jew in the Catholic Church. Just before we begin, let me say that if you want to hear the show again, it will be archived on the Radio Maria website. That's radiomaria.us, and also on my website, which is salvationisfromthejews, all one word.com. And on those two websites, you can also find archived versions of previous shows, including with a number of other Jews who have entered the Catholic Church. So with that short introduction, let me welcome Jerry. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. And as I kind of very briefly said, it is a wonderful thing always to hear the working of God and grace in bringing one of his chosen people into the fullness of the promise of Judaism in the Catholic Church. So maybe I can just invite you to tell us something about yourself and what a nice Jewish boy, so to speak, like you is doing in the Catholic Church.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you welcoming me to your show. I really do appreciate it. Your book has been awesome, and it's been a complete 360 turnaround. I've been in the military for 23 years, U.S. Air Force, Marine Corps, and when I was a kid, I grew up and didn't know who I was or what I wanted, and I grew up in a Baptist world, and they tried to convert me to being baptized, but I knew there was something wrong. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with Baptist, but I knew in my heart there was something wrong. So I went to church Sunday morning, Sunday night.
So why don't you just back up a little bit? Your parents were Baptist? Your parents were Jewish? They were nothing? How did this come about?
It was kind of weird. I found out when I was Jewish when my mother died. It's kind of weird. I have an uncle in Pennsylvania who started a yeshiva, which I thought was totally awesome. And when I was growing up, I didn't really know who I was. The only thing I knew, I was Native American, Irish, Jewish. Well, I didn't know it was at the time until my mother passed away. But I was a Native American Irish boy in somewhere in the middle of Tennessee somewhere. And during that time, I just didn't find the right calling, should I speak. And when my mother passed away, I found out, of course, I was Jewish from that side, and I went into Hebrew and all that other wonderful stuff. I sat in the synagogue, and it was the best thing ever in my entire life. And at that point, I knew I was missing something, but again, there was a lot more to it. I was just that part of something that was missing. I went to synagogue a lot. I read Hebrew, Talmud, the Tanakh. Even my ex-girlfriend was from Israel, whose father was an Orthodox rabbi. She wanted to get married, but the Marine Corps wouldn't allow that because I was still in the Marine Corps. And again, like I said, there was something missing. And then further down the road, I kind of went astray away from religion altogether. And then it's been a long trial, but here recently I got more increasingly interested in the Catholicism, and I started reading, and then I read some of your book, and how everything is closely knit to the Catholicism and Judaism, and I was like, wow, that's totally awesome. And a sister at the church gave me your book, and I read it, and and then the next day I sent an email, so excited, and you sent me an email, and I was like, wow, again, I'm a peon in this millions of vast people in this world that would ever listen to me. And you sent me an email. I felt very special for that, and I felt very honored. And I knew that day, from that point on, that this is the road I need to take. And I'm taking the RCIA program at one of the Catholic churches here in Colorado Springs. And my eyes were wide open. The blindfolds were taken off my eyes for the first time. And it's been a wonderful, every time I go to my classes, I feel emotionally distraught, but in a good way, because it feels so warm. I feel so warm there. I feel so great. I feel more energized. Just recently I went to acceptance the weekend before last. And again, last time I felt the beautiful warmth of God was when I sat in the synagogue by myself. I actually felt the warmth there. And so this time, I thought, it's just going to be another ceremony because, excuse me, that's feeling in the military. It's all this ceremony and just, repetitive. So I went through the class. I went through the acceptance, didn't know what to think. And it was a very emotional, wonderful thing because at that time I felt the warmth of God again, which was more than it was before. I felt like it was the prayer shawl covering me in my little own world, and it was just me and God only.
This is when you were at the acceptance ceremony, which was in the context of a Mass?
Yes, sir, it sure was. And that was my first one. And it was really, it's really hard to explain, but when I was there, I felt the warmth. I felt the love in my heart. It was so hard to hold back the tears. I just can't explain it. It's really even hard to talk about it now. Even after the fact, after it was said and done, my eyes were blind because, sort of like when Moses went up to the mount and saw, he's kind of blind from seeing, trying to see God, and he was blinded by the bright light. I was the same way for 3 days. Even when I went to work, I was still it was hard for me to see, but I still felt the presence of God. I felt the warmth there, and it was sort of like a baby in a blanket for the first time.
Wow.
And like I said, I finished reading your book, and I wish I could keep it, but I got to return it to the church. But, out of all my moves before, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've been to war, I've seen death, and I've seen bad things. I've done bad things. Ever since I started this class, ever since I started reading this book so I could make an understanding of myself and everybody else, things have been going the right way. Before, I've had the upside-down horseshoe. I have to deal with my own family death. Before RCI program, before that, I had 2 deaths in 1 month, my relatives, friends dying, and, of course, people dying from war and everything else. And it's like everything's going the wrong way. And then, as a rabbi said that, God gives us free choices. And those choices can be either right or wrong, but when he wants to grab the attention for himself, he's going to let us know, and he's going to throw roadblocks. And I've had my share of roadblocks since 1992. I've had a surgery every single 2 years. And I've had 23 surgeries thus far.
This is from war injuries.
Yeah. And since October, October is the wonderful month, I have to say, when I started this class, and things have changed drastically. It's not just, just, about a month later. No, it's been every week or so. As soon as I started, the week after, I got a job. I haven't been able to get a job after graduating from school for almost a year. I haven't been able to go to school from respiratory therapy program in almost a year. I have a beautiful baby who's awesome, a little girl. It's just things have totally, completely changed. Now, it was kind of funny because last week after I talked to you, Thursday or Friday, I think, they asked me, why am I smiling so much? Because I think the people at work saw the new aura that's around me, or I should say glowing, I guess. It's kind of glowing, and they're like, why are you smiling so much? And they could see the after effects of what had happened after the acceptance. And it was the greatest feeling in my entire life. I mean, it's just the two times that I remember that's the best thing in my entire life is, even including the military, was the day that I sat in the synagogue by myself to see and hear God, with the light, and then to sit in acceptance again once more. It was the same feeling. I remember that feeling. I remember the day that I sat there and everything. It was a beautiful, wonderful feeling. And I'm going to be baptized here on Easter, and I cannot wait. It's sort of like a kid going to a candy store, wanting his favorite candy, and you can't get it right now. I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting. And I got a feeling that my emotions built up from since God knows when, it's just going to overflow and explode. It's going to be a good thing, though. It's going to be an awesome thing. And I'm going to be a loss of words. I think I'm going to have to call in sick the day after, request the day off, because I'm going to be so spiritually tired. I won't know what to do with myself.
Well, how many masses have you been present at now?
So far, I've been only 2, and there's no excuse. But my job and my wife's job is so conflicting half the time.
Oh, I wasn't asking for that reason. I just wanted to ask you what your experience is when you're present at the Mass.
The Mass is exhilarating. It's words that I cannot even say. I've been to plenty of places, churches, synagogues, whatever place that you could probably think of, and I've been there because I love religion and I love to experience new things. This was the highlight of my life. This was the most. I feel rejuvenated. Even when I go to RCI classes on Tuesday nights, I feel like the Energizer Rabbit. I feel like I can go on and on and on. When I come home rejuvenated, and I go and start reading stuff about the Bible, everything else that I can get my hands on, try to soak it up as much as possible because I love it so much.
I just remembered that when we were speaking about this before, you said that when you were at Mass, your bodily pains went away for the first time.
Yeah, that's what's amazing, because I'm in so much pain. I'm in pain every day. And when I went that night, I was in pain before everything happened. And when they start doing the blessings, all the pain went away. It was gone. It's the first time I've been pain-free. I don't take medications because I just can't deal with it. I deal with my own self, and the pain went away. It was the best feeling in my entire life. I don't think I was even in my body when they started doing the blessings and stuff. I don't even think I was bodily there. All I felt was the love and the warmth, and I saw that light, and it was just the best thing in my entire life. If that's what heaven is truly like, that's where I want to be, because I don't want to feel this pain no more, because it hurts so bad.
And did you have a feeling that I'm sorry to be giving you all these softball pitches, but
Please.
That something supernatural was happening at Mass?
Yes, I do. I have no shadow of a doubt. I know for a fact that God was there, because not only was there, but my friends were there. They were doing the same thing, and they saw the same thing. Because I had to ask the next class. I go, because I didn't want to feel it like I was dumb. I had to ask them, so, what did you feel? And they said they felt the presence of God. They felt the blanket. They felt the warmth. They even saw the light. I'm like, oh man, that is totally awesome. That is great, because I didn't want that. I just knew it. I know for a fact he was there. I don't care who. Nobody can not tell me that he wasn't there. I was there. It was just, if I could feel like that every single day, every hour, boy, I would, that'd be awesome.
Well, you can depending on your schedule, go to Mass every day.
Yes,
so that's pretty amazing.
Definitely.
And even receive the Eucharist, which of course you can't do yet.
Which I can't wait. A long, long time ago, I wanted to be, like I said before, I wanted to be a chaplain or a rabbi or something, because I had troops in the war who, the chaplains are so short, they just couldn't go see my fellow brothers and sisters, and that's what I wanted to do, and I couldn't because of my age. And I just want to learn so much. I feel like that I can help some of them, to be with them if somebody's dying or whatever, just to be with them. I don't want them to be alone like I was when I was in the hospital for 16 months. I don't want them to feel that. That's a lonely feeling. And that's what I really wanted to do. And it's just, I can't wait. I know patience is a virtue. And, a rabbi told me that he's been studying Torah for almost 12, 15 years, and he still haven't even touched the top of it yet. And that's what I actually want to hear, because it gives me incentives. Like, I can't wait to read more stuff, to understand. And since I even started these classes, I've become more aware. I understand some things. When I read through your book, I go back to the Bible, the Torah, and it's like, wow, how did I miss that? It's like, wow, and it's just totally, it's absolutely wonderful. I hope, and if anybody, whoever goes through something like this, I know for a fact they'll feel the same way. There's just no way you can't. There's just no way. Go ahead.
Oh, so you just said in passing. So do you have an ambition to go on and become a chaplain?
Yes, I do. I know I will be a chaplain. I've already asked about it at the church, and they said they have a chaplain program, and they need people to be a chaplain to visit hospitals. I would give up anything in the world to be a chaplain. I would give up my medical profession. I would give up my military profession. I would do anything in this world to do that, and that's what I'm going to do, because that is my plan. Actually, I won't say it's my plan. It's a plan from God, because a long time ago I was supposed to be a chaplain, but I couldn't because of certain things. But now is the time to take precedence over this and do what I need to do, instead of being stubborn this time. Do it. Just do it. And so the church is going to get some information for me so I can start a chaplain program, be in the chaplain program, and go to their deacon school, which is next year, which actually is awesome too, because I'll be baptized here in a few months, and I'll be on my way onward like I'm supposed to be.
That's great. That's great. So you're planning to become a chaplain and a deacon. I bet that if you were allowed, you'd want to try to become a priest.
Yes, sir. I sure would be. Anything. My goal is to. I'm still in the military. I'm still a reservist. If God forbid, if there's ever another war or something should happen, if I get called up, at least I'll be in that position, because they're always, when I was deployed last time, they were looking for people to be deacons or lay leaders, because we just didn't have chaplains. We didn't have enough people to go visit people in the hospitals, the walking wounded. And we just didn't have nobody. And my fellow Marines and sailors were lonely. Nobody went to go see them. And I don't want that to happen. I've been there and I've done that, and I know what it feels like. The loneliness is depressing, and just the blackness just overcomes your heart, because you become bitter. And I don't want that for them. And so if I ever get deployed again, I'll be ready this time.
Wow.
It's just an amazing thing. My babies, when they were born, is the best thing in the whole world. But the truly best thing in the whole world is feeling that warmth from God, which I have longed for, I have searched for in my entire existence. I've been doing the traveling, the gypsy. It's funny is that one of the deacons, when I was deployed, called me a gypsy. He called me a nomad because I'm trying to find my heart, I'm doing soul searching, and that's what I did. And that's where I've come to this point now, is the RCI class, Catholicism, and learning more. And granted that each little thing, verse, or whatever in the Bible, I learn more. I learned certain things. I've learned more about the saints. Just recently, they wanted me to pick saints, and one of the saints that I picked, and forgive me, I don't know if I can pronounce his name right, is the saint who pierced Jesus with the spear. Is Lunigus.
Longinus.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I picked him because he was a soldier, and I know that the Romans during that time, the Roman soldiers were treated pretty bad. And I'm not saying our military does that, but I'm just saying, as a military person, I kind of felt that same way. And then later on, after I read some of his stuff, he went to teach, the Bible. He taught Jesus and everything else after the fact. And even when he pierced Jesus didn't retaliate. He still loved him, and he still does. And that was the most fascinating thing I've ever read. It's like, wow, he did probably the most meanest thing in the whole world. He pierced Jesus with the spear. And here I am, thinking, and I've done really bad things in my life, and wow, it's like, and he still loves him. And so I feel better with that, because it's just awestruck with that situation.
Wow. Now, do you feel like you would be abandoning your Jewish heritage by taking this path?
I asked that several questions to a lot of people, and one of my friends goes, don't ever forget your Jewish heritage. And I even asked you, and you almost said the same thing, and no, I don't, because you know what, I even asked the church, I even asked the priest here at the church, and he goes like, don't ever forget your Jewish heritage. And he was very straightforward about it. Don't ever do that. He goes, you have something good. And, a long time ago, one person, I was actually going Orthodox Judaism, because I'm a strict person. I'm very disciplined because of the military. And she goes, you have two things going good for you. And she said that, first of all, you're in Judaism. You understand it more clearly than most people do. But on the other side of it, you have this Christianity thing going on too. So you understand that too, and you combine the both, and you'll see what it correlates with each other. At the time I agreed, but I wasn't fully agreeing with her. And then when you guys and the church say this, I was like, wow, where have I been? Somebody just lifted the blindfolds off my eyeballs and say, hey, I can see now. Because I've been really stupid. I'm serious. I've just been like, I don't know what happened to me for the past 10 years, but wow, it's sort of like somebody opened the barn doors, and I'm so filled with information. I'm overwhelmed with it, but it's really awesome, because it's the best feeling in the whole world. And when I read about stuff like this, even the pain goes away.
Oh. Now, most of our listeners are cradle Catholics, and one of the fun things about doing this and about having the show is trying to, I don't know how to put it, but infects them, with the enthusiasm that somebody who comes into the church from the outside has. Because of course it's tragic, but it's very common that Catholics kind of can be on automatic pilot, and they go to Mass, but they're actually kind of oblivious to the fact that anything's happening. So, you know, do you have anything to say to them?
Yeah, the military teaches us ceremonies and complacency. And even in Judaism, some certain things with complacency. They go to mass or synagogue or whatever it is, or even military ceremonies. You get used to it, and you lose that faith. You become like a walking robot. My thing is that you have to have strong faith, and you have to remind yourself, this is not just a ceremony. This is not just, I'm going to sit in front of a church pew or the synagogue and just play the numbers. That's not how it works. You know, you have to motivate yourself. The biggest thing that I found for myself is to get out of complacency is read the Bible, read something, read your book, or read somebody's book about Catholicism or Judaism. And I guarantee, I've read the Bible. I read the Bible 2 or 3 times in my entire life. The first time was hard. The second time I understood it. The third time I was more confused. But this time it's like when I go back to the Bible, it's like, wow, I didn't know that was there. And what I was told is God, when He wants you to see things in the Bible, He will open your eyes for the little bits, not the big bits. And that is so true, because after I started this and learning new things, I saw the small stuff, and it just pops out right at you. You know, people who get kind of bored with this, they need to find themselves, and they need to look into it more with an open mind. I have a very analytical mind. You know, I'm so analytical, it's not even funny. But you just have to, you gotta have faith, and you have to look more into it. That's how I feel. I mean, yeah, some people will say when they read the Bible, it's repetitive, but that might be true for some things. But on the inside, if you keep looking, if you look to another book to look into it again, you're going to find something different. I guarantee it. I have this past week. You know, it's just the one thing that I found is that when I was growing up, I was told that the Old Testament was done away because of the New Testament. And when I read here recently in Matthew, when Jesus said that He did not come here to abolish the old laws, but to reinforce it, that's what I grew up with. People tell me the different things. It's like, wow. And if I had not read that, I would totally believe something else. But it's like, we just can't be complacent. Complacency will kill us. It will definitely kill us. You know, and I find myself in complacency, but it's only because of the military. But here, since I've done these classes, or since I'm doing those classes and my acceptance, I'm not in complacency. I want more. And if they look into it and they read some stuff, and they will find some new stuff, I guarantee it. Mm-hmm. They will find new stuff, and they're going, wow, I saw this. And they're going to go looking somewhere else, and wow, I see this. You know, and they're going to be so excited. Again, they're going to be so excited that they will have renewed their soul again.
Now, what drew you to the Catholic Church? I mean, you were telling that part of your story, relatively quickly, and I didn't really follow. You had been raised kind of Christian and didn't even know you were Jewish, and then you found out you were Jewish and you became enthusiastically Jewish and loved going to synagogue, but something must have drawn you to look into Catholicism. What was it?
You know, I'm still trying to kind of figure that one out myself.
Did you have Catholic friends? Did you?
No, I didn't. You know what? That's another funny thing too. It's the few weeks before October, which before the classes, I don't know. It was something like, it was weird. It was like, boom, something popped in my head, and I looked online to see if there was any RCI classes, and boom, if I can say it, St. Patrick's Church here in Colorado Springs I was like, wow, they're offering free RCIA classes starting in October. It's like, okay.
And you thought of yourself as Jewish at this time?
What was that?
Did you still think of yourself as Jewish at this time?
Yes, I sure did. I have never abandoned my Judaism from that point.
Now, I seem to remember from our previous conversation that you were pretty good friends with the priest in the service?
Yes, I was. During the first Gulf War, my best friend, and I have to say, there's 10 or 20 of us on the hospital ward, and he was a Catholic priest. He was from Boston, Mass., and we were best friends. We would talk all the time. We'd go to baseball games and stuff like that when we could. And he goes, "You should be a priest." And I looked at him. I just laughed because I thought he was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me. Me a priest?" Because I was in the Marine Corps at that time. He goes, "Yeah, you would make a good priest because, you know, again, we have soldiers here, Marine soldiers, sailors who are lonely, again, and nobody to come see them. Again, that's not harping on the chaplains. The chaplains weren't there because they were deployed." And he's like, "You'd be an awesome priest." And I said, "Thank you," and I just laughed at him. And here I am. I think somebody's laughing at me because, you know, maybe I should take it upon that situation.
You didn't keep up with him. You don't know. He doesn't know where you are now in terms of your journey.
I wish I could find him. I wish I could because he was the best friend I ever had in the hospital. He was a normal person, and he was in the military, of course, and he was the best person to be with. So friendly. And
did you talk about God?
Yes, we did. We talked about God all the time. We compared, to Judaism to Christianity to Catholicism, and we talked all the time. Now, that's not to say that I also had my best friend was a rabbi, and he was from New York, and he would come and see me just before sundown on Friday every time because he knew I was lonely. But other than that, nobody came to see us. Nobody did. And it was very inspiring. They were very inspiring individuals, and that's what I have to say. They inspired me from that point on to slowly, like a turtle, I must say, to move on to where I need to be right now.
Well, I was just kind of fishing a little bit, but obviously when somebody receives the grace of conversion, it's the fruit of somebody else's prayer. So I was wondering whether perhaps your priest friend might have, maybe even unbeknownst to him, and certainly to you, been an instrumental step in bringing you to the Catholic Church.
That's a good way to think about it. I've never actually thought about it because he's the only priest I've ever came in contact with in my entire life. And like I said, I remember him this day. And I think maybe that probably was because it was so neat. But, and like I said, when 1st of October, something just popped in my little head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it's like, what am I doing? And it's like, I was on cruise control. I'm like, what am I doing?
I don't want to tell you this, but you know that the month of October is considered the month of Mary.
That I didn't know. Maybe that's what inspired me because I did not know what I was doing because one day I signed up. It was a week before I signed up. She said, the sister said, come on in. I show up Tuesday night, and I'm like, welcome. And it was the biggest warm welcome I've had in my entire life with that situation. It's like, I love it here. And then I felt I was at home. I'm finally home. I can say that.
That's great. Well, we're kind of drawing to a close. Do you have any kind of last words you want to leave our audience with, or should we just say goodbye?
The last words I would have is we talked about complacency. Don't get in complacency no matter who you are, whether you're Catholics, Jewish, or whatever. Use your faith and find what's in there. Look in the Bible, read it, and I promise you, and I guarantee you will find something in you. And once you do, you'll find, and you'll have the warmth that will surround you from the love of God, and you will see that God will send you on the path that you need to be.
Absolutely. In fact, if we open our hearts to God, God wants nothing more than to jump in and lead us. And the only thing that's holding him back, the only thing that holds him back from taking over our lives and leading us into its fullness in his presence, is our own resistance to him. So that the more we pray to him and the more we open ourselves up, and actually also the more we examine our consciences and see what's blocking our willingness to cooperate with God, the more he can do to take us where he wants to take us. And in fact, since the ultimate relationship with God is available through the sacraments of the Catholic Church, and the ultimate truth about man's relationship with God is the truth that's revealed by the Catholic Church. If anyone seeks God with their whole heart and is willing to hear it, is willing to be open to the truth of Catholicism, he will take us there. As your story so beautifully illustrates, I'm not sure that we're in a position to really be aware of exactly how much leading there was or where those course corrections or steerings took place. But they certainly did, and they certainly brought you to this wonderful place where you have experienced so much joy and peace, and even, as you mentioned, freedom from physical pain for the first time in 20 years. And I assure you, you said earlier that you guarantee something to our listeners. Well, I guarantee you that when you are in a position, when you're baptized and when you're receiving communion, you are right now just on the beginning of an amazing, amazing, amazing journey and experience, which will only accelerate and intensify as you enter fully into the sacramental life in the Catholic Church. But anyway, I just want to thank you so much for your open-hearted sharing and sharing with our listeners your story.
Thank you.
And the extraordinary grace in your life that brought you to where you are now, and your joy and your enthusiasm in where you are now, and the new phase of your life you're about to launch on as you enter the Catholic Church formally this Easter. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank our listeners for having tuned in and for listening. I invite your prayers, as always, for the conversion of the Jewish people, so that all of us may know the joy and the intimacy with God that's available through the Catholic Church. And in a particular way, perhaps you could throw up a prayer or two for our new friend Jerry, that God continues to lead him powerfully and make him a light unto the nations, a light to others, as he has shared his enthusiasm and joy in the church with us today. May he become ever more powerful in doing so, and bring others to the light of the Catholic truth, and even bring other Catholics to the full realization of what they have in the Catholic Church. So with that, I'll say goodbye for now, and I hope you join us again next week on Salvation is from the Jews. Bye.
You're tuned to Radio Maria, a Christian voice in your home. The program you just heard was a rebroadcast of Salvation is from the Jews.